Good morning, 8 Green students. Today we are going to talk about how the first Americans actually came over to America. And these are all going to be theory based. Of course, we are not 100% certain how any of this happened, but these are some of the major theories. So when we talk about the first Americans, a lot of times we use the term Paleo Indians. Paleo means ancient, okay? Of course, the term Indians is going to come later when we talk about Christopher Columbus and where he thought he was on his voyage. But when we use the term Indians and we put the word Paleo in front of it, we're talking about the ancient people to North America and South America. So we refer to these as the first Americans. One of the major theories is called the land bridge theory. And what scientists believe happened was that around 20,000 BC, so about 22,000 years ago, our Earth was in what was known as the Ice Age. And during the Ice Age, a lot of the water levels dropped significantly because they were being frozen into ice caps. And what this did is this actually uncovered land on the ocean floor.
Attention staff.
All right, so here's a couple of graphics. Let's see if I can move me around a little bit. Here we go. All right, so there's this little strip of water between what is present-day Alaska and present-day Siberia, which is part of the Asia continent. And during the Ice Age, the Bering Strait actually dried up. And so you can see down in this lower right picture, the light tan area is land. The dark tan or yellowish color, that's basically the ocean floor. And you can see the Arctic Ocean receded back, the Bering Sea receded back. So this created a land bridge. Obviously, this wasn't straight across. There was some elevation drop there. This land bridge is called Beringia, named after the Bering Strait. What scientists believed happened was that these Paleo Indians were what we call nomads, and nomads roamed from place to place, basically following their food source. So for whatever reason, these large prehistoric animals migrated across Beringia. In order to not starve to death, the Paleo Indians themselves then had to migrate across Beringia. A couple of pictures here. This is what's called a giant mastodon. Think of it like a big elephant, furry elephant with these large tusks. And then down here, this is a giant bison that was basically being killed, and basically the Paleo Indians used just about every part of the bison, from the bones and the blood and the intestines, the fur, the meat, obviously. They relied heavily on it. Again, just another picture of the land bridge theory. Here's, again, the area we're talking about. You can see the water levels receded back, opening up this area right here. Scientists believe that the first Americans probably lived in groups of 20 to 50 people. These weren't going to be large civilizations yet. They settled first in Alaska, then down into Canada, and then migrated down in what is today the United States and Mexico. And of course, none of these terms existed 22,000 years ago. Here's a good map that shows you, they think they walked across here, migrated here, and then over thousands of years, this would have taken thousands of years for them to migrate all the way down into Central America and South America. Some other theories. Coastal migration. This could be, a lot of scientists are now leaning to the fact that coastal migration might have made more sense, and that they're finding some artifacts that the carbon dating doesn't really match up with the fact of the Paleo Indians coming into Alaska first. So again, coastal migration and even Pacific island hopping are two theories that are getting a lot of strong consideration. I'm going to go through each of these separately here on each slide, so don't worry about having to read through all this. All right, coastal migration. So looking at the teal arrow here. So instead of just, obviously here's the land bridge theory, but now we're wondering if maybe this coastal migration hypothesis makes more sense, where they traveled in small boats along the coastline and they didn't just land in one landing spot, and that they migrated, along the coast, and there's some artifacts, again, that date a little bit earlier in time than things they found up in the land bridge area. And it could just be that the artifacts haven't been found yet in the land bridge theory. The island hopping theory. Island hopping theory indicates that there are islands that were exposed during the Ice Age that are no longer visible. And using small boats, they would have traveled, hopped from island to island and made their way over to North and South America. All right. Now we're looking at the blue arrow, the African migration theory. Some scientists believe that the first Americans into either North or South America actually came from Africa and migrated over to present-day Brazil in South America. There's some statues, some mysterious statues that scientists are having a hard time figuring out when and where they came from, so that could be some clues there for that. And then there's what we call the Mother Earth theory or the creationist theory. Similar to many Christian beliefs, is that the Paleo-Indians essentially were created by some sort of god or gods and just kind of populated the Americas in a creationist viewpoint, that they didn't actually come from somewhere else. Regardless of which theory you believe, the Paleo-Indians eventually, their descendants, so their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, etc., their descendants, became what we know as Native Americans. So if you're native to somewhere, it means you're from there. So I'm actually a native Kansan. I was born and raised in Kansas, lived there till I was 26. Okay, I'm native to Kansas. I am not native to Missouri or Lee Summit. Wasn't born here, didn't grow up here. So Native Americans are the descendants of the Paleo-Indians. So slight difference there. The Ice Age ends about 8,000 BC. The sea levels rise again. Beringia disappears. The coastal islands and Pacific islands disappeared that potentially they hopped along. And what happens then in North and South America are two societies that formed, the hunter-gatherers and the agrarian society, or the farmers. So people who either hunted and gathered for their food or people who grew their own food. Native Americans developed a society and culture that was really affected mostly by their environment. So the geography and the climate's going to dictate what type of food you eat, what clothing you wear, what kind of structures you build. And this is a picture of the buffalo and some teepees. And then this down here is maize or corn. I mentioned earlier the giant bison. Close relative to that would be the buffalo, and the Great Plains Indians used every aspect of the buffalo. And this graphic shows that. The shoulder blade, the ribs, the liver, the kidney, the bladder, gallstone, intestines, beard, fat, bones, tongue, skull, brain, the heart, the horns, even the buffalo dung or poop. They used it, they could burn it and use it as fuel for their fires. This map is a great map. It shows different cultural areas of the Native Americans. Remember, not all the Native Americans are the same. These different colors represent different cultures. So the Plains Indians, the Eastern Woodland, the Far North, the Arctic, the Southeast, Northern Mexico, Southwest, Great Basin. So each color represents a different culture. That culture would have had similar characteristics in terms of food they ate, languages they spoke, the way they dressed, the structures they built. That's what creates a culture. And within that culture, you could still have differences. And so you'll notice inside each color are different words. Those are different tribes within each culture. So if we're looking at the light green area, that's the Great Plains Indians. Well, within the Great Plains Indians, you have the Crow, the Sioux, the Ponca, the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Pawnee, Comanche, etc. Lee Summit's located right around here, right around the Pawnee area. You've probably heard of the Maya, Aztec, and Inca. These were the three most powerful and sophisticated Native American empires. You'll read a little bit more about them in a class reading that I've attached with this lesson as well. Each of them eventually collapsed or were conquered for various reasons, but very, very sophisticated. Gave us a lot of things we still use today, the concept of zero and mathematical systems, stuff like that. Here's the Mayans in the, I guess you'd call that pink. The purple area is the Aztec, and then this green area is the Inca Empire. You can see how big that stretched. And that's it for me today. I know that was right around 10 minutes. Hopefully you're able to stick in there with me. Again, you will be doing a reading over the first Americans and answering some questions as well. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.